Welcome back to For the Love of Men podcast. My name is Courtney Shand, and I'm hosting with my dear friend, Brianna Mosier.
Hello.
The intention of the show is to bring together men and women to learn how to honor each other's natural masculine and feminine energetic core so that we can create more polarized, healthy dynamics, especially when it comes to dating and relationships. So, Bri, tell my friends who you are, what you do, who you serve, all the things.
My name is Bri. I do mostly feminine energy and business coaching, and really help women embrace their feminine energy when they are the ambitious, the driven woman, and they're wanting to learn to soften, to be receptive, to embrace their sexuality and their sensuality and their pleasure and learn orgasmic manifestation. And it's so juicy. So I help them attract in healthy, empowered masculine men and scale their businesses. And it is so much fun.
And you're great at it.
Thank you.
Yep.
And Courtney,
Yes.
what is your magic in the world?
I am a relationship mentor. I really help women approach dating in a grounded, emotionally mature way so that they A, end up with a more authentic connection, but B, can release some of that anxiety that comes up especially early in dating. This can come from generational patterns of relationships that get triggered when we are having to be in the unfolding and the vulnerable process. So I really help with stabilizing her in that time frame. I love being of service in that way, keeping her in her body and aware of everything that's happening that she needs to be paying attention to set her up for success.
So good.
Yeah.
Genius.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have a really fun topic today, kind of in our series of the energetic dynamics of what is happening. We wanted to keep parsing this out and wanted to bring to you the player.
The player energy.
Player energy. The player energy and the dynamic that gets created with the player energy.
Yeah, mostly on the receiving side.
Yeah.
So we're talking specifically about the player in the male form in this episode. But I think we might do one as the player for the feminine, which will be quite controversial because just getting you hyped for this, here's the trailer version. Courtney and I have done so much work with feminine energy, and not all of it is in the highest integrity. And so that can create a lot of feminine energy player types. So we will likely do an episode like that for our people who date women in the future. But right now we're going to deconstruct the male player.
Yeah.
Before we do that, if you want to join our newsletter so you can keep up with all of our episodes, you get exclusive content from us. We pick our favorite comments from TikTok and share it. There's a link in the show notes. You can sign up for our email list there. And then, of course, we give you exclusive ways to work with us one-to-one or together. So there's that as well. Okay, the player. Cool. What do you feel? You were going to ask me this.
I was, but that's okay.
No, you get it this time.
Okay.
What do you feel when you're around the energy of the player? What happens in your body?
Oh.
All good things. No, I'm just kidding. At first.
Well, first, so there is this charisma. There's a very, you can definitely sense this energy coming towards you. It's a very charismatic, very grounded masculine energy, grounded in the sense that he's very in his body. You can just feel him. He's just oozing with this attractive, magnetic energy. So in that way, it creates this real tension, this pulley feeling. Me being kind of a recovered ball buster, I used to be able to spot this from a mile away.
Okay.
And I could feel it, and it would turn me off so hard. And I would lunge into them. I regret to admit that, but I can tell you now on this side of things, looking at it, it is a very charismatic energy, and in that way, I find that it is very attractive to lots of different types of women. And it's almost like a fun, playful, flirty, outgoing energy.
Yeah. It feels nice at first.
Yeah, it does.
It does feel nice. It is attractive, as Courtney said, magnetic, feels solid, feels masculine.
Yeah.
It feels masculine. So, for me, my experience was that I had a lot of wounded feminine energy. When I was attracted to this type of person, sincerely attracted, not now where I've done my work, and so when I meet a player, there is this little part of me that goes, oh, this is my kryptonite, and I know better, and I'm not attracted anymore because I get it, right? It's you see through the smoke and mirrors almost.
You stay aware.
Yeah, you're aware. You see the dynamic going on even though it's tempting. But when it felt really attractive to the point where I would want to pursue dating that person and really thought it was available to me, like a long-term relationship, I had a lot of wounded feminine of not feeling good enough, not feeling picked, wanting to be chosen, that would manifest as, I wouldn't say I was a ball buster, but I was wounded masculine in the sense of the boss lady. I was accomplished, and I was confident in myself, surface level. Obviously, I've just revealed my past wounds to you. Right. So surface level, was fitness competitions and running a business and all these things. And I just felt like this man has as big of energy as I do. And it would pull on this pick me energy because every woman in the room wanted him. And I wanted to be the woman that he would pick. That was the wound for me of like, then I will feel good enough, right? And that didn't stop becoming attracted to me until I did that inner work. And now it's like, no thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of like being offered the dessert menu after you just had a full meal. You're just kind of like, is it great? I'm sure, but I'm just not available for it right now.
Empty calories. And let me just insert quickly too that we're not shaming the player archetype, because there's no shame in being a player as long as you are honest about it. If you're a man listening to this, if you're letting women know, I only want casual, I'm not actually dating, I think you're awesome, I'm getting to know a lot of women right now, I truly don't see anything wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with having casual sex. It's just when you lead someone on into thinking it's more, could be more, that now you're on the borderline of, is that really an integrity because someone's heart is getting involved and you don't have any intention to actually hold her heart, and that's not fair. But there's lots of different types of player energies, which we were talking about before the show. You were sharing that there was a difference in like the different types of players that you've interacted with.
You'll have to refresh my memory if you remember better than me. Sometimes when we're getting started, we're just like pinging information back and forth.
I know, it's on the tip of my tongue. My COVID brain. Not that I have COVID right now, but recovered. Anyway, overshare.
The player energy... Well, I feel like it comes out in different settings. And I find that it's kind of a... it can be often just that this person is a very outgoing person. They get energy from the people around them. Yeah. And they aren't aware. The awareness for them might be to increase the understanding of what the other person might be experiencing or thinking that means. For them, it might be an innocent, like, oh, we're just engaging. This is a fun dialogue. I'm, having a back and forth. And they may not feel like they have to put boundaries out. So in your case, you won't be seeing them very clearly because he hasn't quite said, I'm only looking for casual. I'm just here to have a good time. I'm just here to connect. I just want to have a conversation. And for a lot of my clients, especially, that will like trigger them and they'll get hooked by that attention, and it will cause them to lean forward out of their center, and then he won't be there to catch them. That's the painful experience that a lot of women have that turns them off and kind of leaves a bad taste in their mouth towards players in general. So there can be a lot of shaming out there for that reason, but it's coming from pain, obviously.
Yeah, and I don't think shaming is necessary as long as he's being honest about what he's looking for and where he's coming from. Because that might be the perfect dynamic for somebody that he's speaking with. Maybe she doesn't want anything serious either, and she's like, great, this is casual, this is fun, this is flirty, this is maybe just tonight. Perfect.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the withholding of the intention that becomes an issue. And then it feels like game playing and manipulation. And that's where it becomes unfair.
And this is why we always talk about to assume it's in your best interest, especially for the first couple of weeks, to assume that he's seeing other people until that is spoken. Because a lot of times we have different evaluations of when that conversation is required. Is it when we're at the bar? Is it when we have gone on 2 dates? Is it when we have gone on 6 dates? Different people can have different ideas of when that's appropriate and when it feels right for them. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're not an empowered person, and we're not trying to paint you into a corner with rules that don't feel good for you. But the empowered shift, men, if you find yourself in this experience, would be to get some clarity about what you do want so that you can be a little bit more forthcoming with that, just on the proactive side of things.
Yeah, and the ask for women would be to look at what part of me feels really, I'm going to say, addicted to this energy, because it is addicting. At least my felt experience was, this person is so big and so full of energy and is giving me a lot of attention, and I feel really special and I feel really seen, and that feels really good. It's not a bad thing to think that feels good, but you can also, it feels different when it's coming from a solid, I don't want to say EM, because players can be EMs too. They might just not want something long term.
I think that awareness is really powerful. I would say that is an under-awareness that I see in the dating space.
Right, we just villainize the player.
Yeah. And the awareness, the safety point for you to be aware of and kind of scan the scene is, are his behaviors lining up with someone that does want a relationship? And or has he verbalized one way or another? Because my experience, the felt experience of being with someone who may be still dating other people, is I will still feel like the center of attention. He will be consistently coming towards me. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's closed down other options. But empowered masculine energy men are very, very consistent and generous in their energy, and it feels good to be around them. So I would say that if you're on the fence, or if you find yourself in more of an anxious state, you're welcome to ask. Take your power back and ask what they're looking for.
Remember that thought that I said I couldn't remember because I had COVID? It came back.
Good. I love when this happens.
Classic. So there can be better point than before. The EM energy that's a player is similar to what Courtney was saying, right? Feels grounded, feels easy, charismatic, and will probably be honest with you about what he's looking for and what he wants.
Great point. Yeah.
Probably, most likely, I would say if he falls in the EM category, he's going to be quite honest. I'm not looking for anything serious, casual. I think you're so beautiful. Like, let's go out, let's get coffee. I'm not dating right now. That's not leading anyone on. The wounded masculine player is more of treating women like trophies. And it feels like he's... Yeah, right? This is a better point to remember this thought. It feels like he's treating women like something to achieve and something to chase, and it doesn't matter how many of those women he gets, he's never satisfied. So you might see him floating around the whole... It's just an energy feel. Like, you see an EM player floating around the room, socializing, and you can feel in your body that he's grounded. I don't know how else to describe it, but I'm sure so many women will get it because it's a visceral thing. Versus a wounded masculine player floating around the room, you feel like it's quite empty. He's chasing. There's this... You get this sense in your body of, I don't trust this person. That's what it is. And if you don't know which one of those player types he is, ask one of your empowered masculine friends, brother, father, an EM that you trust. Gold. You ask him, do you trust that man? I was just telling Courtney, I did this recently with a friend of mine. I was like, do you trust that man? And he was like, I can't tell you why. I just don't trust him. And I was like, thank you. That's enough information. Because men know how to read that type too. Just like us as women, we can read other women. And you might pick up on something that men would not. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm so glad you said that. What was coming to me when you distinguished that, and I'm so glad you did bring that up, because I was like, we're actually, there's a lot of empowered masculine energy that can present this way too. This is
confused about our message.
This is confusing people. But I will say that being on one side, being on the other side of the player, the true kind of like, I'm going after these trophies type player, the wounded masculine player, is it's going to be mostly about him. You get the underlying sense that you are boosting his ego. When you're on the other side of an empowered masculine man who is socializing and hasn't committed himself to anyone, it'll feel like it's still all about you. It's a very different flow of energy. You're not feeding him anything. His giving to you actually opens up parts of you that feed him in return. It's exchange instead of him kind of like grasping for you, if that makes, has that been your experience, or does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah, totally. That's such a good point, because the last wounded masculine player that I interacted with, the chat was great in the beginning. And then once, it was just he and I in a more secluded situation, he talked about himself the whole time. And my internal thought process, I'm going to share this with you all, was I was interested in what he was saying, but then 5 minutes passed, and then 7 minutes passed, and then 8 minutes passed, and I just thought, is he ever going to ask me a question or even leave room for me to speak? Are you interested in me, or are you interested in me liking you?
Are you siphoning my energy right now?
Right. I think you would rather have me watch you and listen to you talk than you would actually want a connection with me. You want my approval, you want my attention, but you don't want me for my essence and my core and who I am, which you get that feeling that an empowered masculine player type still appreciates you for your being and still has genuine integrity and focus on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It feels like a more even energy exchange. Like there's an investment coming back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm so glad you said that.
Mm-hmm. Talks a lot about himself, doesn't ask questions about you. In the beginning, he probably will.
Yeah.
And then, it's no bueno.
Yeah. And this is subtle, because there's the stereotypical, like the pickup lines and some of those things that you may think of when you think of the player type.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of TikToks for those. We don't feel the need to go down that rabbit hole, because there's plenty of information out there if you really want that. I found that kind of information actually gave me more anxiety in dating than knowing what is healthy, what's wounded, and how do I feel. Those were like the most empowering questions that I ever learned how to answer. And after that, it was like I didn't need any more of these TikTok top 5 red flags to look for in a player. Is he cheating on you?
Yeah, Courtney and I more advocate for you trusting your body.
1000%.
Your body we both are somatic based practitioners. So your body's going to be the highest form of intelligence, with the caveat of, if you're trusting your body and you keep finding yourself with the wounded masculine player, pay attention to what wounds are being activated. Yeah. What is this within me, right? And I already shared with you my come to Jesus moment of like, I think I really want to be picked. I want to feel important. I want to feel like I'm the chosen one in the room out of all these beautiful women. And that's just where I was. I don't judge that, that older version of me. But through doing that healing work, now I don't feel tempted by that type. I might like the chat and the energy at first, but I'm very aware that this is not a good person at this moment for me to pursue things with the state that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I see this a lot generationally too. If there was a breakdown in the availability of masculine energy in the home, it will create that same feeling of like kind of needing to like fan someone else's flame, earn their attention, pay over attention to someone else, and kind of forget that I have something to contribute to the conversation too. I'm worth getting to know as well. Typically, that's kind of how I see it play out in my clients.
That makes sense, like knowing the value that you bring as a person.
Yeah, you'll lose your center. You'll lean forward when you forget that like staying centered and grounded in yourself is the PowerPoint. Not like the computer program, but that is your most powerful point of authority, is to stay centered in who you are and trust that the right people will keep coming to you, not you having to keep like folding your boundaries and overstepping.
So the medicine for this, and really even for when we did the episodes on the nice guy, the invitation for women so that they can become more grounded is just a coming home process to yourself over and over again, building your self-worth, cleaning up those wounds. That's the medicine. It's you getting back into your body, focusing on you, what makes you happy, seeing your value, you feeling confident, you getting support, you pursuing whatever you want to pursue in life that turns you on and makes you excited, you doing hard things and seeing that you can do it. Like when that's there, there's actually no wound to create that magnetism with, because what's happening with this player type is your wound is hitting his wound, and the wounded masculine player is also running on lack of confidence
And self-worth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you guys are trauma bonding over this. And I think that particular archetype of the wounded masculine player, not always, but usually we're dovetailing into some narcissistic tendencies. Sometimes not. Sometimes they can be really wounded feminine underneath. You just don't know. So we don't want to generalize what's going on there. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So good.
Juicy.
Yeah. I love that. Being able to hold yourself
Yes.
in any situation and know what you're experiencing and validate it. That is like gold.
Trust yourself. And when you're hearing something that doesn't make sense, your body is saying this doesn't make sense, but your brain is saying it should make sense, go with your body.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about the player types?
I think that's pretty good.
I think we nailed it.
I think so too. Up top.
Nice. We did that earlier and we missed. So if you love this episode, share it. Please share it. Please share it with somebody that you think would find it beneficial, or any of the other episodes. Your shares mean everything.
Yeah.
It's so helpful. So thank you for those of you who are sharing. Make sure you follow us on TikTok at For the Love of Men Podcast. You can share those with your friends too. Yeah. We love when you leave comments that you appreciate the information so much. We see all your likes, but like we live for the nice comments. We're like, this makes you so happy.
Yeah. We love that.
Cool.
There's something else coming to mind, but that's it.
Amazing.
Yep.
So Courtney, the people want more from you. Where do they go and what can they get? How can they be supported by you?
Wow, thank you. I love supporting, like I said, women in learning how to find their center of gravity and stand on their own 2 feet in lots of different situations in dating, so that you're not getting pulled around in other people's energy. If that is resonating with you, my program Arise is built for that. It works really well with women who are kind of early in the dating stage or are in a relationship and are finding themselves with some anxiety, cleaning up some of that codependent wobbliness and really grounding you into your body. That's all on CourtneyShand.com. You can find me on Instagram too, Courtney_Shand. TikTok, same thing. Facebook, same thing. Be sure to DM me if you add me on Facebook so I can make sure to add you right away.
Amazing.
Yeah. And you?
And me, I have one-to-one coaching spots open right now. So if you are an entrepreneur or not, just a career-driven woman who wants to embrace her feminine energy and her pleasure and come home to her body and attract healthy love, that is what I do with my one-to-one clients. And then I'm also just going to share with you that I am going to have a pleasure program coming out in September.
Is this the Pleasure Portal?
Yeah, but it's not going to be like the mastermind style before. It's a whole modules,
ladies,
from anatomy to energy to core desires to core wounds to accelerators to breaks to turn-ons and turn-offs and communication in the bedroom. It's going to be juicy.
I mean,
it's going to be really good.
We're not worthy.
So
we're in the presence of royalty right now. This is her zone of genius.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back into it. I've been in a training program for 6 months now on sex, love, and intimacy, which is something I coached in before, but now I feel like, oh my gosh, new level.
Yeah.
So if that makes you excited, you can pre-enroll and just message me privately, Building Bri at Instagram, BRI. You can email me from my website, and I will get you the enrollment link for 2 months from the time of this recording.
Incredible.
All right, we love you. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.